Hello, hello, hello. My name is Sabrina Victoria, and this is the Her Version podcast. Her Version is a contemporary global stage, a platform created for bold storytelling, providing stories, tools, and advice on how to break free from life struggles and design your own vibrant life. It is specifically aimed at building confidence, communication, certainty, and courage to everyone who listens. If you are new to me, please like, subscribe, and share wherever you are. Every Monday, I come on and I share my journal entries, my secret journal entries for everyone to hear. Tuesday, I have a guest speaker. Wednesday, I usually bring you something from the world. And Thursday, I have another guest speaker. It is so awesome to have you here with me today. Today, we are actually diving into the world of no one other than Britney Spears. I'm super excited. I've done a ton of research on all of the goodness that has been going on with Britney Spears, and I am here to talk about abuse. I'm here to talk about abuse. It is October. October is the Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and I am here all month talking about all the ins and outs of abuse, whether it be physical or invisible. So let's jump right in. Hello! So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Sabrina Victoria, and I am the host here at the Her Version podcast. I am also the owner of Human Better 365, which is a human transformation company that focuses on time management and organization within businesses and the family dynamic. I also run a community called Sober Society, which is a modern day educational platform based around getting sober and staying sober. All of the goodness that we teach in and around this atmosphere is personal coaching, group coaching, and virtual coaching. Basically anything to fit your needs. Everything built for empowering humans. So listen, today we are going to be doing things slightly different than usual. I am actually going to be trying out a few things such as screen share, which I've never done before. So I'm going to ask everyone to be super patient with me. And however this looks. I actually forgot, just realizing right now, to clear off my desktop before doing this screen share. But I'm going to do my best to talk about a YouTube video that I want to go over with you guys, along with a couple of screen shares on my PowerPoint or Keynote, since we're on since we are on, what are we on? Since we're on an iMac, I'm actually going to ask my fiance, who's hovering over me right now, to see if he can hear me because I'm using the microphone. Can you go on real fast and just make sure that you can hear my audio? That would be great. So anyways, I am here to talk about Britney Spears.
Hovering?
All of the craziness that has been going on with this poor lady is very, very upsetting to me. And I just watched the documentary on Netflix probably about a week ago. I took a bunch of notes, which I'm going to be sharing with you guys. And I'm also going to be doing my best to kind of add in exactly what I pulled in from that, along with my own personal experiences, to kind of mesh them all together and give you guys a good overview of what this invisible abuse looks like and the frustration that I have with the court system and with our the people that just oversee our community in general. Not the one that's coming to mind right now is Gabby, who was just found murdered in the park a few weeks ago. and they had just been stopped about a week prior by police. And although they could see there was issues, there isn't any actual like rulings that can actually tell individuals or foresee things that are going to be happening, because it's abuse is invisible, and a lot of times the person that's being abused is the person that looks the most crazy, and a lot of times the person that looks the most calm is the abuser. So that's kind of what I want to talk about today. All of this is just shining light. All I'm trying to do is shine light. I endured narcissistic abuse for over 13 years. Well, let's not even get into that. I was in a narcissistic romantic relationship for 13 years of my life. Add on a few more years here and there throughout my life. I have endured plenty of it. And there are some serious similarities between so many stories that I hear, including the one here with Britney Spears and the financial abuse that she was going through along with everything else. So I am going to do a quick little thing right here and see if I can screen share any of this. Oh, and it's not working. Oh, and it's, oh, is it working? It's not working. I was hoping I could literally just click on that and it would automatically share, but it looks like it's not. So let me see. Oh, it's not working. Dang it. So I still need to figure out how to do that, I guess, because it's not quite doing what I thought it would do. Huh. Oh, here, share. Okay, share screen. What? Don't show these tips. Okay, screen sharing is easiest with 2 monitors. I only have 1 monitor, so we're just doing a Hail Mary here. And screen sharing works best on a good computer. Oh, I have that. I have a very good computer. Some screens let you share audio. Look for the share audio checkbox on the next window. No, it's fine. So hopefully you guys will be able to hear this. I'll check on my phone to kind of see. Oh, snap. What? So many options. Okay, I think I'm just going to do a screen share for now because there's a few things that I'm going to be flipping back and forth through. And you guys are just going to be able to see my entire screen. So I apologize for that. So anyways, here is my screen and I want to be sharing. Let's see if I can see this. Can I see this? Oh, yes. Let's see if we can see Britney Spears. Does she come up? Oh, she comes up perfectly. Yes. Let's see if this comes up. Does this come up? Maybe. Oh, yes. Yes, girl. Yes. So this is what I'm talking about right now. We're talking about Britney Spears. We're talking about the conservatorship that she was placed under with her dad. For those of you that don't know what that is, I actually looked it up for everyone. It is a legal term referring to the legal responsibilities of a conservator over the affairs of a person who has been deemed gravely disabled by the court and unable to meet their basic needs of food, clothing, and shelter. They are governed by the state's individual laws. All right. Now, this is what we're talking about. There is so much abuse in and around this entire situation that went on with her for 13 years. It is actually just now coming to a halt. However, we are going to be talking about what did happen during the 13 years from what I have seen, read, and heard about. So we are going to be talking about manipulation, exploitation, maltreatment, neglect, not so much violence or cruelty or harm or hurt or ill treatment. But we are going to be talking about the physical abuse, the mental abuse, the verbal abuse, emotional abuse, tons of financial abuse, tons of spiritual abuse, and last but not least, legal abuse. And what's so interesting about this definition that I found is it actually specifically says that legal abuse is very specific and is not readily seen. So this goes to show you seriously why this was able to go on for so long. And a lot of that is because it's not readily seen. So when it is seen, it's hard to even detect. All right. So I looked up some of this stuff for you guys so we can kind of have a breakdown of what this stuff actually is. So I looked up the word manipulation, because a lot of times when people think of the word manipulation, they just think of maybe like a 4-year-old manipulating her mom or her dad to give her a candy bar, goes to mom, mom says no, goes to dad. That could be a form of manipulation. The other form of manipulation that you might think about is if a son is maybe taking advantage of his elderly mother and manipulating her to give over finances or to give him money, or this usually happens during drug abuse or alcohol abuse and stuff like that. However, these are the actual definitions. So manipulation, the action of indirectly interfering with the decision-making process of another person, particularly in a clever or unscrupulous way. Then we have psychological manipulation. Can be abusive, deceptive, and sneaky to make you behave in the way the perpetrator wants you to behave. And then my least favorite, emotional manipulation, for empaths out there who are incredibly emotional individuals. This could literally be the worst. There are so many incidences, not trying to compare stories, but so many incidences where females have said that the emotional abuse is worse than physical abuse because physical abuse goes away. Again, not agreeing with that. However, the emotional scarring, triggering PTSD that a lot of these females or males have to live with for the rest of their life is because of this emotional abuse or emotional manipulation. So emotional manipulation is meant to confuse you and leave you off balance, and is often very subtle and very deceptive. Again, the word manipulation in general is known to be deceptive. I mean, that's what it is. Exploitation is the legal use or wasting of money, property, or other assets of a protected person who is physically or mentally unable to make decisions or care for themselves, or is under the age of 18. This is Britney Spears on so many levels. The for instance here is uses a credit or debit card to buy items for themselves without permission. Holy crap, this happened like 100 times worse than this. Asks for payment of their bills, car payment, rent, utilities on all levels in this situation. Steals money, checks, debit cards, medication, or electronic or EBT cards. So many levels in this situation. Asks for meals, new tires for their car, or their financial gifts. This right here, little situation here, is menial compared to what Britney Spears has endured over the last 13 years. So legal abuse, like I said, is so interesting that they decided to write in there that it's not readily seen. I thought that was so interesting that they wrote that. But I got the definition here. Legal abuse refers to unfair or improper legal action initiated with selfish or malicious intentions, abuse can originate from nearly any part of the legal system, including frivolous and vexatious litigants, abuses by law enforcement, incompetent, careless, or corrupt attorneys, and misconduct from the judiciary itself. So this is the thing. This happened. This literally happened on so many levels within this situation, with attorneys, with courts, with judges. To one extent, nobody really knows, but incredibly frustrating on so many levels. So the first thing that I kind of want to go through here is this hearing that Britney Spears went through just recently. I don't know if it shows the date here as to when this happened. However, she had tried to break the conservatorship way early, like 2-3 years in, and the court system would not listen to her. She tried to get her own lawyer, which she wasn't allowed to do, which is just insane to me. And I really empathize with what she's going through. So I kind of want to listen to a little bit of this, and I kind of want to just break it down as we listen and kind of go from there. Hopefully you guys can hear it.
Into court the last time. I brought 4 sheets of paper. I will be honest with you, I haven't been back to court in a long time because I don't think I was heard on any level when I came to court the last time. I brought 4 sheets of paper in my hands and wrote in length what I had been through the last 4 months before I came there. The people who did that to me should not.
So I want to pause it right there. Right there, she says that she wasn't heard. So this right here is a strong indication that the legal abuse that isn't readily seen is an issue here with Britney Spears. She literally is dealing with issues where she legally was being abused, but didn't really know how to handle it. So she had not been to the court system in a very long time because she wasn't feeling heard.
Be able to walk away so easily. I'll recap. I was on tour in 2018. I was forced to do. My management said if I don't do this tour, I will have to find an attorney.
Ms. Spears, I hate to interrupt you, but my court reporter is taking down what you're saying.
Okay.
And so you have to speak a little more slowly.
Of course, yes. Okay, I apologize. Great. Okay.
Now,
the people who did this to me should not get away and to be able to walk away so easily. Recap. I was on tour in 2018. I was forced to do. My management said if I don't do this tour, I will have to find an attorney, and by contract, my own management could sue me if I didn't follow through with the tour. He handed me a sheet of paper as I got off the stage in Vegas and said I had to sign it. It was very threatening and scary, and with the conservatorship, I couldn't even get my own attorney, so out of fear, I went ahead and I did the tour. When I came off that tour, a new show, and
I want to pause it right here, and I want you to pay attention to how many times this woman says the word fear. One of the number one things when it comes to this sort of abuse that happens is fear. The abuser is able to put fear into its victim without hurting them physically. There's no physical abuse mentioned, but there is actual fear, repercussions, fear of arguing, fear of getting in trouble, fear of, this is her father. She's not wanting to stand up against her own father, feeling fearful. When somebody uses the word fearful, that is a good indication that there is some sort of abuse happening. Not that she's fearful that she's being hit. She's actually feeling fearful. That is when you are feeling scared because of repercussions of what somebody else is going to do to you. That's abuse.
Las Vegas was supposed to take place. I started rehearsing early, but it was hard because I'd been doing Vegas for 4 years and I needed a break in between. But no, I was told this is the timeline and this is how it's going to go. I rehearsed 4 to 4 days a week. half of the time in the studio and half of the other time in a Westlake studio. I was basically directing most of the show with my whereabouts, where I preferred to rehearse, and actually did most of the choreography, meaning I taught my dancers my new choreography myself. I take everything I do very seriously. There's tons of video with me at rehearsals. I wasn't good. I was great. I let a room.
And I absolutely love that part. I wasn't good. I was great. See, this is a woman coming into her power. Coming into her power to stand up as a 30-something-year-old woman and to stand before a courtroom of people and actually announce that she is great, not good. This is a powerful woman who has seen what has been done to her, has seen how she has been treated, coming from a place of fear and realizing that she is not just good. She's not just little Britney Spears. She's not just a puppet or a slave. She is a great performer. And the fact that she was able to sit here and say that out loud with pure confidence. This is an issue that so many women have today, is being able to stand in their power and say, listen up, I am not just good, I am great. That's a powerful woman there that is no longer going to be pushed around. And just hearing her say that just gives me such chills.
Of 16 new dancers in rehearsals. It's funny to hear my manager's side of the story. They all said I wasn't participating in rehearsals and I never agreed to take my medication, which my medication is only taken in the mornings, never at rehearsal. They don't even see me. So why are they even claiming that? When I said no to one dance move into rehearsals, it was as if I planted a huge bomb somewhere. And I said, no, I don't want to do it this way. After that, my management and my dancers and my assistant of the new people that were supposed to do the new show all went into a room, shut the door, and didn't come out for at least 45 minutes. Ma'am, I'm not here to be anyone's slave. I can say no to a dance move. I was told by my, at the time, therapist, Dr. Benson, who died, that my manager called him in that moment and told him I wasn't cooperating or following the guidelines in rehearsals. And he also said I wasn't taking my medication, which is so dumb because I've had the same lady every morning for the past 8 years give me my same medication, and I'm nowhere near these stupid people. It made no sense at all. There was a week period where they were nice to me and they said, I don't want to do, and I told them I don't want to do the, they were nice to me. They said, if I don't want to do the new Vegas show, I don't have to, because I was getting really nervous. I said, I can wait. It was like, they told me I could wait. It was like lifting literally 200 pounds off of me when they said I don't have to do in the show anymore, because I was really, really hard on myself and it was too much. I couldn't take it anymore. So I remember telling my assistant, but you know what? I feel weird if I say no. I feel like they're going to come back and be mean to me or punish me or something. 3 days later, after I said no to Vegas, my therapist sat me down in a room and said he had a million phone calls about how I was not cooperating in rehearsals and I haven't been taking my medication. All of this was a false. He immediately the next day put me on lithium out of nowhere. He took me off my normal meds I'd been on for 5 years.
This is just unbelievable to me. Unbelievable to me. As far as her having to go on medication because she refused to do a dance move or two. Again, she's talking about how she was fearful of some sort of repercussion for not doing what she was told to do. This is a grown woman. This is a human. This is a human in the United States of America, a grown woman who is literally being forced to do something against her will. And this is her show. This is literally her show. Without Britney Spears, there is no show. And the fact that they will not give her even a little bit of leeway on what she does and doesn't want to do in her own show, to the point of her feeling fearful, is just absolutely insane to me.
And lithium is a very, very strong and completely different medication compared to what I was used to. You can go mentally impaired if you take too much, if you stay on it longer than 5 months. But he put me on that and I felt drunk. I really couldn't even take up for myself. I couldn't even have a conversation with my mom or dad really about anything. I told them I was scared, and my doctor had me on 6 different nurses with this new medication come to my home, stay with me, to monitor me on this new medication, which I never wanted to be on to begin with. There were 6 different nurses in my homes, and they wouldn't let me get in my car to go anywhere for a month. Not only did my family not do a goddamn thing, my dad was all for it. Anything that happened to me had to be approved by my dad, and my dad only like he didn't know that I was told I had to be tested over the Christmas holidays before they sent me away when my kids went home to Louisiana. He was the one who approved all of it. My whole family did nothing. Over the 2-week holiday, a lady came into my home for 4 hours a day, sat me down and did a psych test on me. It took forever. But I was told I had to then, after that I got off, I was told I had to then, after I got a phone call from my dad saying, after I did the psych test with this lady, basically saying I had failed the test or whatever. I'm sorry, Britney, you have to listen to your doctors. They are planning to send you to a small home in Beverly Hills to do a small rehab program that we're going to make up for you. You're going to pay $60,000 a month for this. I cried on the phone for an hour, and he loved every minute of it. The control he had over...
Right here is the actual key of the abuse. She notates clearly that her father enjoyed it. One of the biggest traits of a narcissist is that they enjoy watching their victims in fear. They enjoy watching their victims hurt, cry, and be upset. The entire thing is a complete power play. And at this point in Britney's life, when she is speaking of this, she has been under the power, under the thumb of her father and all of his little muppets or puppets for so many years. And she notices, she sees physically and verbally that he is happy, that he is enjoying watching her suffer. Going into a treatment center that is going to cost $60,000 a month. Being put on medication that she knows and feels is not even necessary for her. Almost as if they're drugging her on purpose. It's like the craziest conspiracy I have ever, literally ever lived to see for myself happening in front of my eyes.
Someone as powerful as me, as he loved the control to hurt his own daughter 100,000%. He loved it. I packed my bags and went.
Absolutely. 100% loved it to be able to take and have power over somebody as powerful as me. Absolutely, Britney. Absolutely. You're not wrong, girl. You are not wrong. Narcissistic individuals love stealing energy and stealing power from their victims. They smile and they rejoice in it. I cannot tell you how many times I was in similar situations with relationships or just people in my life where you could see them happy about hurting you. You could actually feel them gaining energy as you are breaking down, as you are crying, as you're crumbling. They gain more momentum, more power as you lose power, because they're actually physically and emotionally stealing your power from you right in front of you. This is one of the greatest forms of manipulation that was literally done right in front of our faces. The entire nation. The entire nation.
To that place. I work 7 days a week, no days off, which in California, the only similar thing to this is called sex trafficking, making anyone work against their will, taking all their possessions away, credit card, cash, phone, passport card, and placing them in a home where they work with the people who live with them. They all lived in the house with me, the nurses, the 24/7 security. There was one chef that came there and cooked for me daily during the weekdays. They watched me changed every day, naked, morning, noon, and night. My body, I had no privacy door for my room. I gave 8 gallons of blood a week. If I didn't do any of my meetings and work from 8 to 6 at night, which is 10 hours a day, 7 days a week, no days off, I wouldn't be able to see my kids or my boyfriend. I never had a say in my schedule. They always told me I had to do this. And ma'am, I will tell you, sitting in a chair 10 hours a day, 7 days a week, it ain't fun. And especially when you can't walk out the front door. And that's why I'm telling you this again 2 years later. After I've lied and told the whole world I'm okay and I'm happy, it's a lie. I thought maybe I said that enough. Maybe I might become happy because I've been in denial. I've been in shock. I am traumatized. Fake it till you make it. But now I'm telling you the truth, okay? I'm not happy. I can't sleep. I'm so angry, it's insane, and I'm depressed. I cry every day, and the reason I'm telling you this is because I don't think how the state of California can have all this written in the court documents from the time I showed up and do absolutely nothing, just hire with my money another person to keep my dad on board. Ma'am, my dad and anyone involved in this conservatorship and my management who played a huge role in punishing me when I said, no, ma'am, they should be in jail. Their cool tactics working for Miley Cyrus as she smokes on joints and stage at the VMAs. Nothing is ever done to this generation for doing wrong things. But my precious body, who's worked for my dad for the past fucking 13 years, trying to be so good and pretty, so perfect when he works for me so hard, when I do everything I'm told in the state of California, allowed my ignorant father to take his own daughter, who only has a role with me if I work with him. They set back the whole course and allowed him to do that to me. That's given these people I've worked for way too much control. They also threatened me and said if I don't go, then I have to go to court. And it will be more embarrassing me if the judge publicly makes you go the evidence we have. You have to go. I was advised for my image, I need to go ahead and just go and get it over with. They said that to me. I don't even drink alcohol. I should drink alcohol, considering what they put my heart through. Also, the Bridges facility they sent me to, none of the kids, I was doing this program for 4 months. So the last 2 months I went to a Bridges facility. None of the kids there did the program. They never showed up for any of them. You didn't have to do anything if you didn't want to. How come they always made me go? How come I was always threatened by my dad and anybody that participated in this conservatorship? If I don't do this, what they tell me to enslave me to do, they're going to punish me. The last time I spoke to you by just keeping the conservatorship going and also keeping my dad in the loop made me feel like I was dead. Like I didn't matter. Like nothing had been done to me. Like you thought I was lying or something. I'm telling you again because I'm not lying. I want to feel heard. And I'm telling you this again so maybe you can understand the depth and the degree and the damage that they did to me back then. I want changes, and I want changes going forward. I deserve changes. I was told I have to sit down and be evaluated again if I want to end the conservatorship. Ma'am, I didn't know I could petition the conservatorship to end it. I'm sorry for my ignorance, but I honestly didn't know that. But honestly, I don't think I owe anyone to be evaluated. I've done more than enough. I don't feel like I should even be in a room with anyone.
The fact that she's even having to explain all of this is literally making my blood boil. When I actually sit down after watching this video and tell you the numbers and the amount of money and the amount of tours that she was doing while all this was going on, it's absolutely insane. It's insane how much money her dad was making off of this entire scenario. Millions of dollars were made over this 13-year period. The fact that she doesn't drink alcohol, I didn't even freaking know that. The girl doesn't drink alcohol. And then she's talking about Miley Cyrus. If you could literally take probably any other female individual, her name, and do a side-by-side of like Britney Spears and like 5 other individuals that are that started around the same age and are now around the same age. And I guarantee you that the amount of trouble and the amount of craziness that these young girls see and go through is parallel, absolutely parallel. And it's crazy that she's even having to get up in front of a judge to even explain this. This is how much power her dad has. And what's so crazy and so frustrating about this, which I cannot relate to in the least, Britney, but quite honestly, the fact that you are the one that is paying for your dad to hire more people to keep you in the position that you are in is just so backwards. I can't even imagine. I literally can't even imagine. And I've been right there with you when you're talking about saying that you're okay and saying that you're happy, because there literally is something inside of you that makes you feel as if you say it out loud, if you say out loud, I'm good and I'm happy, that you will become good and happy. But it's tearing you up inside. And she says it right there. I'm not happy. I'm depressed. I'm so angry because of my ignorant father. Absolutely incredible that this went on for as long as it went on.
To offend me by trying to question my capacity of intelligence, whether I need to be in this stupid conservatorship or not. I've done more than enough. I don't owe these people anything, especially me, the one that has roofed and fed tons of people on tour on the road. It's embarrassing and demoralizing what I've been through, and that's the main reason. I've never said it openly, and mainly I didn't want to say it openly because I honestly didn't think anyone would believe me. To be honest with you, the Paris Hilton story on what they did to her to that school, I didn't believe any of it. I'm sorry. I'm an outsider, and I'll just be honest. I didn't believe it. And maybe I'm wrong. And that's why I didn't want to say any of this to anybody, to the public, because I thought people would make fun of me or laugh at me and say, she's lying. She's got everything. She's Britney Spears. I'm not lying. I just want my life back. And it's been 13 years and it's enough. It's been a long time since I've owned my money, and it's my wish and my dream for all of this to end without being tested. Again, it makes no sense
I love that she's being totally honest about Paris Hilton. And I actually watched that Paris Hilton Netflix special also, and quite honestly was thinking about doing a breakdown on that also. There's a lot of information online as far as those retreats that parents send their children to, and especially the ones that are not in the United States, and the abuse that happens at those locations is absolutely insane, whether it's physical abuse or sexual abuse. But I love that she is being open and honest about the fact that she didn't necessarily believe everything that Paris Hilton was saying. She kind of felt like she was exaggerating it. However, how it kind of backlashed on her a little bit, because now that she's dealing with just years and years and years of this, she's sitting here thinking she almost like shot herself in the foot. And she's now saying, well, I didn't believe Paris Hilton, so who the heck is going to believe me? Right?
Whatsoever for the state of California to sit back and literally watch me with their own two eyes make a living for so many people and pay so many people trucks and buses on tour on the road with me and be told I'm not good enough. But I'm great at what I do, and I allow these people to control what I do, ma'am, and it's enough. It makes no sense at all. Now, going forward, I'm not willing to meet or see anyone I've met with enough people against my will. I'm done. All I want is to own my money for this to end, and my boyfriend to drive me in his fucking car. And I would honestly like to sue my family, to be totally honest with you. I also would like to be able to share my story with the world.
Girl, for real. I would like to sue my family. Hell yeah, girl. Hell yeah. And the fact that you're dropping F-bombs in front of that friggin' judge literally is bringing tears to my eyes. tears to my eyes. All I want to do is drive my car with my boyfriend. Like, she's literally a slave in her own home. She is literally working to pay for the lawyers who are keeping her in the situation that she is in. Absolute insanity. Absolute insanity what is going on here.
And what they did to me, instead of it being a hush-hush secret to benefit all of them. I want to be able to be heard on what they did to me by making me keep this in for so long is not good for my heart. I've been so angry and I cry every day. It concerns me. I'm told I'm not allowed to expose the people who did this to me. For my sanity, I need you to the judge to approve me, do an interview where I can be heard on what they did to me. And actually, I have the right to use my voice and take up for myself. My attorney says I can't, it's not good. I can't let the public know anything they did to me. And by not saying anything is saying it's okay. I don't know what I said here. It's not okay. I don't want to interview. I'd much rather just have an open call to you for the press to hear, which I didn't know today we're doing. So thank you. Instead of having an interview, honestly, I need that to get it off my heart, the anger and all of it that's been happening. It's not fair they're telling me lies about me openly. Even my family, they do interviews to anyone they want on news stations. My own family doing interviews and talking about the situation and making me feel so stupid. And I can't say one thing. And my own people say I can't say anything. It's been 2 years. I want a recorded call to you. Actually, we're doing this now, which I didn't know that we were doing this, to the public who knows what they did to me. I told I know my lawyer, Sam, has been very scared for me to go forward because he's saying if I speak up, I'm being overworked in that facility.
This is, again, her notating that she is scared and she is fearful again. Scared and fearful. She can't go to her mom. She can't go to her dad. She can't go to her sister. There's literally no one who is there for her. Even her lawyer is on her dad's side. And with this conservatorship, she is not allowed to get her own legal advocate. And we're actually going to go over that. She can't get her own lawyer. At one point, she actually tried to get her own lawyer, and the court, the judge threw it out immediately, within 5 minutes.
Of that rehab place, the rehab place will sue me. He told me I should keep it to myself, really. I would personally like to, actually, I know I've had grown with a personal relationship with Sam, my lawyer. I've been talking to him like 3 times a week now, and we've kind of built a relationship, but I haven't really had the opportunity by my own self to actually handpick my own lawyer by myself. And I would like to be able to do that. I would like to also, the main reason why I'm here is because I want to end the conservatorship without having to be evaluated. I've done a lot of research, ma'am, and there's a lot of judges who do end conservatorships for people without them having to be evaluated all the time. The only times they don't is if a concerned family member says something's wrong with this person and otherwise. And considering my family has lived off my conservatorship for 13 years, I won't be surprised if one of them has something to say and go forward and say, we don't think this should end. We have to help her, especially if I get my fair served in turning, exposing what they did to me. Also, I want to speak to you about, at the moment, my obligations, which I personally don't think at the very moment I owe anybody anything. I have 3 meetings a week I have to attend no matter what. I just don't like feeling like I work for the people whom I pay. I don't like being told I have to, no matter what, even if I'm sick. Jody, the conservator, says I have to see my coach Ken even when I'm sick. I would like to do 1 meeting a week with a therapist. I've never To
me, this is just insane that she's even having to negotiate this. This whole part of the interview actually somewhat frustrates me. I just feel as if at this point she should literally just say, I'm out. Not interested in any of this, and I'm not doing anything. She does make a joke here, which I think I just paused beforehand. You know, she says that she does want 1 meeting with her therapist because she does realize that she needs therapy. I cut it off right before that. But this little section here, I kind of feel like she is like negotiating her conservatorship, and it's a little bit frustrating for me. But let's just keep going.
Before they sent me to that place, had 2 therapy sessions. A therapy session and 1 therapy session with I have a doctor and then a therapy person. What I've been forced to do illegal in my life, I shouldn't be told I have to be available 3 times a week to these people I don't know. I'm talking to you today because I feel, again, yes, even Jody is starting to kind of take it too far with me. They have me going to therapy twice a week and a psychiatrist. I've never in the past they had me going twice a week and Dr. Gold, so that's 3 times a week. I've never in the past had to see a therapist more than once a week. It takes too much out of me going to this man I don't know. Number 1, I'm scared of people. I don't trust people with what I've been through. And the clever setup of being in Westlake, one of the most exposed places in Westlake, which yesterday, paparazzi showed me coming out of the place literally crying in therapy. It's embarrassing and it's demoralizing. I deserve privacy when I go. I deserve privacy when I go and have therapy, either at my home, like I've done for 8 years. They've always come to my home. Or when the Dr. Benson, the man that died, I went to a place similar to what I went to in Westlake, which was very exposed and really bad. Okay, so wait, where was I? In Westlake, it was identical to Dr. Benson, who died, the one who illegally, 100% abused me by the treatment he gave me too. And to be totally honest with you, I was so...
Excuse me for interrupting you. But my reporter says if you could just slow down a little bit, because she's trying to make sure she gets everything that you're saying.
Okay, cool.
And so
okay.
That would be great.
I have been through, and the clever setup in Westlake is identical to Dr. Benson, who died, the one who illegally, 100%.
This girl's so nervous right now. I just feel for her so much. My heart is just going out to her that she's even having to explain any of this. And this is so not related at all, but that whole situation right there where she was interrupted again is sort of reminded me as a Jehovah's Witness when I sinned, having premarital sex or premarital anything sexual, having to sit in front of 3 grown men and talk about your sexuality so that they can in turn figure out what sort of punishment you need in order to have your sins forgiven. And the nervousness that creeps up inside you, having to recite things that you've done in your life that are nobody's business and could be seen as embarrassing. And then not only talking about them in detail, but you're talking about them in front of 3 individuals and then 3 men, and then 3 men who are a ton older than you, and then having them judge you. And then everybody knows that you were there. They see you walking in. They see you walking out. And the tears and the obviousness that something is going on is so mortifying. It's so demoralizing as a human. And this whole situation really is making, this is like, I feel as if this is even worse than that. Like, she's having to explain things that a normal human would do. She's asking to drive her car with her boyfriend. Like, how much more demoralizing? And this is the sort of stuff that narcissists love to do. They love to embarrass you. They love to make you grovel. They love to make you beg. They love to have you on your knees. And they love to have you crying.
Abused me by the treatment he gave me. And to be totally honest with you, when he passed away, I got on my knees and thanked God. In other words, my team is pushing it with me again. I have trapped phobias being in small rooms because the trauma locking me up for 4 months in that place. Is not okay for them to send me, sorry, I'm going fast, to that small room like that twice a week with another new therapist I pay that I never even approved. I don't like it. I don't want to do that. And I haven't done anything wrong to deserve this treatment. It's not okay to force me to do anything I don't want to do. by law, Jody and this so-called team should I should be able to sue them for threatening me and saying, if I don't go and do these meetings twice a week, we can't let you have your money and go to Maui on your vacations. You have to do what you're told for this program, and then you.
And what's so frustrating about this when we're talking about verbal abuse, and this is one of the things that I really strive to tell my community who are involved with narcissists, is it's so important to start recording conversations in any way possible. Write down conversations, date it, write the struggle, write who was there, and keep a log of the things that are happening. Because if there's no physical abuse, if there's nothing that you can actually see, proving stuff like this is almost impossible. So yes, sue the family. Yes, sue the help. However, in cases like this, it is literally your word against their word. And of course, they're going to lie. So many situations, listening to other versions of this, the lawyers or the people that were helping her on one side or the other all denied even knowing her on even a personal level at some point. Just absolute insanity. And there was always a monetary value that was put on this. There was always some sort of payment that the father was giving. And what's so crazy about this is Britney Spears was paying these people to keep her where she's at. Britney Spears was paying her own father a salary. That was his job. His job was to manage Britney Spears. Like, what an insane cycle to be a part of.
You will be able to go. But it was very clever. They picked one of the most exposed places in Westlake, knowing I have the hot topic of the conservatorship, that over 5 paparazzis are going to show up and get me crying coming out of that place. I begged them to make sure that they did this at my home so I would have privacy. I deserve privacy. The whole conservatorship.
That sounds like it was set up 110% on purpose. And she knows that.
From the beginning. Once the conservatorship from the beginning, once you see someone, whoever it is in the conservatorship, making them money and myself money and working, that whole statement right there, the conservatorship should end. There should be I shouldn't be in a conservatorship if I can work and provide money and work for myself and pay other people. Exactly. It makes no sense. The laws need to change. What state allows people to own another person's money and account and threaten them and saying, you can't spend your money unless you do what we want you to do?
And what's so funny about this is, in all the other scenarios that I looked up as far as a conservatorship, the individual that was I guess the victim or the person who was being overseen by a father or a mother or some sort of guardian never worked. The person was in that situation because they were incapable of working, incapable of taking care of their own money. And here, Britney Spears, as I'm going to be breaking down in a little bit, literally worked the entire time funding this entire conservatorship. Incredible.
I'm paying them. Ma'am, I've worked since I was 17 years old. You have to understand how thin that is for me. Every morning I get up to know I can't go on somewhere unless I meet people I don't know every week in an office identical to the one where the therapist was very abusive to me. I truly believe this conservatorship is abusive. And now we can sit here all day and say, oh, conservatorships are here to help people. But ma'am, there's 1,000 conservatorships that are abusive as well. I don't feel like I can live a full life. I don't owe them to go see a man I don't know and share him my problems. I don't even believe in therapy. I always think you take it to God. I want to end the conservatorship without it being evaluated. In the meantime, I want this therapist once a week. He can either come to my home. No, I just want him to come to my home. I'm not willing to go to Westlake and be embarrassed by all these paparazzi. these scummy paparazzi laughing at my faces while I'm crying, coming out and taking my pictures as all these white, nice dinners where people drinking wine at restaurants, watching me leave these places. They set me up by sending me to the most exposed places, and I told them I didn't want to go there because I knew paparazzi would show up there. They only gave me 2 options for therapists, and I'm not sure how you make your decisions, ma'am, but this is the only chance for me to talk to you for a while. I need your help. So if you can just kind of let me know where your head is. I don't really honestly know what to say, but my requests are just to end the conservatorship without being evaluated. I want a petition basically to end the conservatorship, but I want it to be petition to end it, but I don't want to be evaluated and be sat in a room with people 4 hours a day like they did me before, and they made it even worse for me after that happened. So I'm honestly new at this, and I'm doing research on all these things. I do know common sense and the method that things can end. For people, it has ended without them being evaluated. So I just want you to take that in consideration. I've also done research.
It's crazy that she's even having to do research on this. It's like she's literally like in a prison doing research at the library, trying to figure out how to get herself out of prison because she was what is that called when you're like accidentally imprisoned for doing something that you didn't even do, so then you have to like become your own lawyer in order to get out of it. That's literally what this sounds like right now.
A year during COVID to get me any self-care methods during COVID. She said there were no services available. She's lying, ma'am. My mom went to the spa twice in Louisiana during COVID. For a year, I didn't have my nails done, no hairstyling and no massages, no acupuncture, nothing for a year. I saw the maids in my home each week with their nails done different each time. She made me feel like my dad does. Very similar, her behavior and my dad, but just a different dynamic. Team wants me to work and stay home instead of having longer vacations. They are used to me sort of doing a weekly routine for them, and I'm over it. I don't feel like I owe them anything at this point. They need to be reminded they actually work for me. They tricked me by sending me to the... Okay, I repeated myself there. Also, I was supposed to be able to... I have a friend that I used to do AA meetings with. I did AA for 2 years. I have I did 3 meetings a week. I met a bunch of women there, and I'm not able to see my friends that live 8 minutes away from me, which...
This is just giving me chills. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. But like, she's having to ask to go to AA and ask to hang out with her friends. This is just so heartbreaking. This is so heartbreaking. Like, there are literally rapists and pedophiles and movie stars with sex addictions who have more leniency than this poor girl. This is insanity to me.
I find extremely strange. I feel like they're making me feel like I live in a rehab program. This is my home. I'd like for my boyfriend to be able to drive me in his car. And I want to meet with a therapist once a week, not twice a week. And I want him to come to my home because I actually know I do need a little therapy. I was told, hold on. I think that's, and I would like to progressively move forward, and I want to have the real deal. I want to be able to get married and have a baby. I was told right now in the conservatorship, I'm not able to get married or have a baby. I have a ID inside of myself right now, so
she means a UID.
Don't get pregnant. I wanted to take the ID out so I could start trying to have another baby, but this so-called team won't let me go to the doctor to take it out because they don't want me to have any more children. So basically this conservatorship is doing me way more harm than good. I deserve to have a life. I've worked my whole life. I deserve to have a 2 to 3 year break and just, do what I want to do. But I do feel like there is a crunch here, and I feel like I feel open and I'm okay to talk to you today about it, but I wish I could stay with you on the phone forever, because when I get off the phone with you, all of a sudden, I hear all these no's. No, no, no.
Oh, this is interesting. I didn't know this. So I thought this was being done in front of like a few people at a courtroom. So it sounds as if she's on the phone with a judge, like at her house. So that is actually really cool. So I apologize for misleading you previously. I hadn't heard this entire thing other than a few bits and pieces that I had heard cut up in the Netflix special. But it sounds like she's on the phone. So that's nice.
And then all of a sudden I feel ganged up on, and I feel bullied, and I feel left out and alone. And I'm tired of feeling alone. I deserve to have the same rights as anybody does by having a child, a family, any of those things, and more so. And that's all I wanted to say to you. And thank you so much for letting me speak to you today.
Absolute craziness. Absolute craziness on so many levels right now.
Is out there.
I literally can't even imagine what she was going through with some of that. Seriously, like so many different levels. Now I don't want to say I can relate to this. I cannot relate to this on the level that she is at. This woman has literally made millions of dollars. So quite honestly, you know, the frustration as far as lack of control when she is the one that's actually providing the money is something that I am unaware of at that level. But let me just give you a little bit of a backstory as far as, you know, what I'm seeing here, what to look out for, and how this could possibly be happening in your own life without necessarily knowing it. So everybody knows that Britney Spears came into the scene in 1997. 1999 was her biggest hit, Baby One More Time. Over the course of 1998 all the way through 2013, that was like her peak basically, she made $78 million. In 2004, she was one of the most popular female pop stars. Now, in 2004, I feel like this is when it really started to get a little bit rocky. But again, I want to remind you that literally Britney Spears' story is no different than any other main female pop culture in this situation went through. We have Demi Lovato, drugs. We have Miley Cyrus, who did a complete just ridiculousness. We have, who's the Heart Girl? Just so many examples of ladies who get a little bit of power and get a little stir crazy. Paris Hilton, oh my gosh. And nothing even close to what Britney Spears went through have these girls gone through. So in 2004 is when I think they really started to kind of keen in on Britney. And this is the other thing too. Remember, Britney Spears' own sister, Zoe, oh no, that was her stage name. Jamie Lynn, ended up pregnant. She was like pregnant at 16 years old. Oh, so listen, 2004, Britney Spears was actually married 2 times. So out of the blue, she winds up marrying her high school sweetheart, which was Jason Alexander. It was all over the magazines. I remember it was insane. Her family freaked out and literally pulled her away from him as quickly as possible. And the wedding was severed or annulled literally within probably weeks of it happening. That happened in January 2004. Then in October 2004, she gets married again. She actually proposes to one of her backup dancers, Kevin Federline, and gets married and winds up having 2 children almost immediately. Things start to get rocky right around 2005, 2006, in between there. Their marriage literally lasted, I think, 2 years. And during this time, obviously things weren't good. She winds up filing for divorce, maybe right before the divorce or during the divorce. Child services was called. The first time was because she was driving with her child on her lap. So she literally had a baby in her lap driving. Child services was called. Second time child services was called when she was holding her baby again, holding a glass. They make that sound as if it was a glass of alcohol. Whether it was or not, we have no idea. However, she was outside of a hotel holding a glass in one hand, a baby in another, and she tripped and she fell. So again, child services was called. And I think a lot of this was people were really paying attention to Britney because she was all over the newspapers. Just in general, her life was under the spotlight at this time, and things were totally blown out of proportion. In order to explain herself, she wound up doing a Dateline interview. And during the interview, she was criticized for how emotional she was. She was criticized because she had gum. She was chewing gum during the interview, which I agree is a little, I feel like they should have told her to spit that out. But she was chewing gum during the interview, and her makeup was a mess. And whether her makeup was a mess before or after the tears, I'm not sure. But I just know that the magazines basically tore her apart again. So basically from 2004 through to the divorce, 2006, over that course of 2 years, Britney Spears was literally in the headlines constantly. And you have to realize that when you're in this situation, when you're in the spotlight for this, the amount of money that these paparazzis are given for a photo of somebody who is in the spotlight could be upwards of hundreds of thousands of dollars to even millions of dollars. So these paparazzi are paid a lot of money to catch Britney Spears in compromising situations on purpose in order to get paid. That's how they actually get paid. So this poor woman basically was just, caught up in this whirlwind of stuff that wasn't even that big of a deal. I've tripped holding my kid in my own house before. Tripped over a wire, over a towel, or some clothing that was on my bedroom floor. And but because this stuff was caught, because the paparazzi were following her like crazy, because they were looking for a big payday, a lot of this stuff got blown out of proportion like crazy. So that all happened right around the same time, 2006, she filed for divorce from Kevin Federline. And then again, the paparazzi were right there with her. I'm sure everyone remembers that she was photographed several times going to clubs. She started hanging out again with her girlfriends, going clubbing, part of the single ladies. And she was caught or photographed wearing no underwear to these clubs. So like when she was getting out of the vehicle, you put both feet out, and the photographers were kind of low down, or however that works, and they actually photographed the girl's friggin' vajayjay, and it was plastered all over the place. And I remember specifically that this is weird. I remember specifically that the issue with her going clubbing was a big deal back then. It was a big deal back then. And the paparazzi were loving it. They were absolutely loving it. 2006 turned into 2007, and at that point, the prenup wasn't working. And she had an ironclad prenup. But the thing is, there are lawyers out there that literally get paid to find the holes in prenups. And unfortunately, I guess Britney Spears' ironclad prenup wasn't living up to everything that she probably paid for it. And Kevin Federline was, doing things in order to get a payout of whatever he thought he deserved during this divorce. So all of this stuff is literally just snowballing like crazy, starting in 2004 when she got married 2 times within a year. And then just over the course of the year, she just kept staying in the media. She was caught dating one of her paparazzi photographers for a little bit of a time, caught doing drugs, staying up late. Then in 2007, I think that she was just so sick and tired of all the drama, all of the press, the media, the divorce. She's literally having a mental breakdown. And then instead of staying home and crying it out on her couch, she, as everyone knows, went into a major salon where she was at, and she shaved her entire head. And there was literally pictures of her all over the place. Everywhere you turned was a picture of Britney Spears' shaved head, basically stating that she lost it. Then 2008 comes to fruition, and she is locking herself in her bathroom, refusing to give her children to Kevin Federline. I guess it was his weekend or what have you. She's having a total meltdown. There's probably serious, if you look at what this woman has dealt with her father and her mother, the probability of Britney Spears linking up with a man who abuses her is super high. Now, was Kevin Federline hitting her? No, there's absolutely no evidence of any physical abuse, but the probability of Kevin Federline being emotionally, mentally, and verbally abusive to this girl is very, very high. Very, very high. So I can't even imagine the vomit that could have been coming out of Kevin Federline's mouth that was abusive, but she didn't know it was abusive. People didn't realize it was abusive. Gaslighting, crazy manipulation, blame shifting, projection. Who knows what he's spewing out of his mouth? She's having a crazy breakdown. She ends up in her bathroom with her children, not wanting to give him the kids. And at that point, he gets them. She has a total mental breakdown, ends up in the hospital, quite literally. And then Kevin Federline gets full custody of her children. And that's where the whole thing started. So I believe that it was literally 4 years. It was 4 years of a snowball effect. And I think a lot of it had to do with the media. Absolutely, the media harassed her to the point of making her look insane. And her dad jumped on the opportunity to control her and her money, figured it all out, did a bunch of research. Who knows? Teamed up with his lawyer and wound up putting her under a conservatorship from 2008 until literally right now. So right now, as of October 6th, she is still under that conservatorship. Her dad has stepped down. However, she's now under one with her lawyer until the courts or the judge demolishes it, makes it go away, and erases it, and she can move on with her life. So we're literally a month away. However, still to this day, it's literally been 13 years that she's been dealing with this. Now, during this time of this conservatorship, she has had no legal rights. So in the film that I watched, she quite literally tried to get her own lawyer. She escaped. There was this whole thing. She escaped and was dodging people. She jumped in the car with her boyfriend. They were racing down the street. People were following her. Paparazzi was following her. She snuck into this lawyer's office, sat down, wrote up a deal, asked him to go to court on her behalf. They set the whole thing up. They show up at court. Lawyer shows up at court. They're ready to fight the conservatorship. And freaking her father and father's lawyer, tell her she can't do that. Just like that. Just like that. You're literally not allowed to seek your own legal advice. You're not allowed to seek your own legal advice. So all of that she tried to do to escape, to get out, she had absolutely no voice. No voice. She couldn't even hire her own. And it was her money, by the way. Her money. She was paying for the lawyer. She's paying for her dad's lawyer. Everything is coming out of her pocket. She is not able to hire her own lawyer. She's also not allowed to communicate with anybody outside of who her dad says she can communicate with. Everything goes through the conservator, which is her father. So all the money, even to go to dinner, even to go get groceries, they even give the example of she wanted to go buy her children some toys. And she has to put a call in. She has to wait for money to be dumped into her account to be able to go to the store and purchase extra things for her children. Father has possession over her house. He has full possession over all of her money, and he has full power over every single person around Britney. So the person that does her makeup, the person who does her wardrobe, the person who is managing her as far as the tours that she did, he is in charge of literally everything. And even the conservatorship on the legal papers was notated as a hybrid business model. So her father knew exactly what was going on. Her father quite literally set this up on purpose in order to run a business, and his daughter was the main attraction. Absolutely. And when she says that she wants to go back and she wants to sue her father or her family, I 100% agree. I 100% agree. So it goes on to talk about her mother and how her mother had a lot to do with this. Her father is obviously the one that started the entire thing and was the main person that was navigating this entire conservatorship. But her mother had a lot to do with this. A lot to do with this. She tried to get out of it as best she could. But during this entire time, quite literally, she was working, even up to 2 or 3 months after the conservatorship was put into place. She was actually an actor on the set of How I Met Your Mother. She had lines, she had scripts. And what's so interesting about this is one of the things that they wrote down as far as why the conservatorship was necessary was they labeled Britney as having dementia and having not enough mental capacity to be able to handle herself. Yet not only is she handling herself, getting dressed, doing her makeup, showing up on time, but now she's also memorizing lines. She's conversing with people. She's actually having relationships with the individuals that were on the show. Perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. She dropped 2 CDs during this time. She went on a national tour or two. I think she went on like 2 national tours. She was putting concerts together. She was performing. She was literally bringing in millions of dollars, yet the conservatorship was making her seem, and written down, that she literally couldn't make any of her own life decisions. Just absolute insanity. Absolute insanity. She couldn't even drive her own car. She couldn't even go someplace with her boyfriend unless her boyfriend had permission. Like, they have to call her father and ask, hey, can we go grab a burger at the burger joint down the street? And then they would have to wait for a yes or a no on whether or not she could go. And then depending on who was paying, they would have to wait for the payment to hit her bank. Absolute insanity. So the court appointed the attorney. The court appointed attorney. So the one that was basically keeping Britney where she was at during this entire time made $3 million. $3 million. Now, if that's not a gravy train, I don't even know what is. During this time, her concerts, the ticket sales, all of this added up to tens of millions of dollars. 40, 50, 60 million dollars. Absolute insanity. By this time, she's not drinking. By this time, she's not doing drugs. One of her biggest issues was, she's sober. She's asked to be sober during this conservatorship. Yet her father, she claims that her father was drinking constantly as an alcoholic. And how frustrating it was that because she was under the influence, she wasn't allowed to take care of her own money. Yet her money is now being taken care of by somebody whose money it isn't. And he himself is drinking to excess. So what is the difference? What is actually the difference? Absolute insanity. So during this time, she does 248 shows. She has 916,164 tickets sold. She has 137.7 million in box office sales. That's just in box office sales. That is not CDs. That's not radio. That's not the affiliates or the sponsorships that she's doing. That's just tour money. And then during this time, her father made 2.1 million in tour revenue. So like basically a residual that he was making off of his daughter. And then on top of that, for the 13 years that he was in ownership of Britney, basically, she was paying him to own her, and she was paying him $16,000 a month. $16,000 a month to keep her where she is. Now, if that is not financial abuse or financial manipulation, I don't even know what is. But fast forward to 2019, fast forward to 2020, 2021, Britney's over it. She's absolutely over it. COVID happened. Obviously, not much was going on. She's hitting 2021. She's finding her power. She is doing research on mental and emotional health just now, just like I was. Same exact age. How old is Britney? Let's look that up. I feel like we're literally the same age. Britney Spears' age. Oh, she's 39 years old.
You're 32.
39 years old. So we're literally the same age. Coming into our power at very, very similar times. See, this is why I do this show. This is literally why I do this show. There are so many individuals who are getting abused. They are getting abused in an invisible way, and they do not even know it. They do not even realize it. because it is invisible. They don't see it. They don't acknowledge it. They don't know. Because when you are raised in an atmosphere that is toxic in general, if you don't have anything to compare it to, see, her parents are divorced. It was probably a total clusterfuck. Plus, both of their girls were in show business. So money hungry on so many levels. She is just now doing the research. Mental and emotional health, narcissism, abuse, manipulation, gaslighting, blame shifting. And she's sitting here and she's thinking to herself, OMG, OMG. I had absolutely no idea that something like this was happening to me. I knew it didn't feel good. She said that the whole time. I'm afraid, I'm afraid, I'm afraid, I'm afraid. She literally said it dozens of times. Afraid. Not realizing that when you are fearful of somebody that is in your life full time, when there is fear, when there is anxiety, when there is nervousness around somebody because you're afraid they're just going to fly off the handle, so you're having to adjust how you act as an individual in order to not have them go into a rage, that is literally abuse. That is literally abuse. And when you are not in a circumstance growing up where you come to realize that you can actually have a conversation with somebody, you can have a disagreement with somebody, you can actually speak to somebody when you're upset without throwing things, without punching things, without high manipulation, then you don't know none the difference. You don't know what normal looks like if you never had it. You don't know what healthy father-daughter relationship looks like if you never had it. So if you're just continuing to get more of the same, more of the same, more of the same, you just figure that that's normal. Because you don't know what you don't know. And this is why I talk so highly about how important it is to educate your daughters. How important it is as females, no matter how old you are, to dive into the world of emotional health, mental health, financial health. What does that look like? What does that feel like? Because if we ourselves are not educated as to what that is supposed to look like, how in the world are we supposed to be able to change the generations to come? We're doomed. We're absolutely doomed unless we start to take a stance on what is healthy and what is not healthy. And situations like this that Britney Spears went through is an incredible example of how easy it is to take advantage of a female who doesn't know any better. Young and naive and uneducated with no knowledge on what this is. Telling your young ones what is appropriate behavior for your young men and your young women is the only way that we are going to start making changes. The only way. So listen, I have been talking for a very long time here. For a very long time here, and I thank you so much for hanging out with me. I will be on again tomorrow. I'm actually going to be hanging out with Linda. Linda is actually going to be talking about her daughter who passed away kind of suddenly, to tell you the truth. Her daughter was diagnosed with HPV, and they had absolutely no idea that HPV could turn into cervical cancer. So we're going to dive into that again, educating our females on all of the things, so that you know what to look out for, so that you can watch your back and so that you can educate your daughters. All right? So thank you so much for joining me today on Her Version. If you have an amazing story to share, struggle to triumph, make sure you reach out to me here or at herversion.life. I am your host, Sabrina Victoria, and I am so grateful to be here sharing a platform that allows us to share the truth and inspire others. Have an amazing day. Much love.